Forgive my tardiness. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. Internet is tripping. So, hopefully, I can get through this. If not, I'll reschedule and redo it. This is very, very important to know. So, let's see what's going on here. The internet being super discouraging today. They don't want me to do nothing. Good God. Yeah, the way my computer is operating, it's looking like I'm gonna have to reschedule. But hopefully not. Right, follow. Here we go. Play this. Man. Okay, I don't know what is happening today. God damn. We're custom layout at. Here we go.
And the Treasury Department bailed it out. Now, they try to say it's not a bailout because they say it's going to be paid for by banking fees. But who pays the banking fees? Customers. So you're going to pay more for fees to do banking in order to give the Silicon Valley people a bailout. Now, there was not a systemic risk to the economy from this one bank, but they were politically connected. And here's the thing. When you get to like we've seen over many years, someone is going to have to pay the bill. Ultimately, the bill comes due. And so what they've now done in the last couple of weeks is they've printed another $300 billion and injecting that into the economy. Now, the problem with that is they spent the last year trying to take money out of the economy with their raising interest rates very rapidly. And so just what they've done since you've seen the hiccups in the banking is they've wiped out half of the reduction in the money supply that they had worked for the last year to achieve, all to be able to benefit some of these politically connected banks. And so what they're doing is they're, quote, fighting inflation and managing the economy in ways that make it more difficult for you, for average people, but are shielding the banks from the pain associated with the policies. And my question is, are you interested in giving these economic central planners more power over our economy, more power over your daily life and your economic activity? And I answer that question, HE double hockey sticks, no. We cannot have that happening. And so that's why we're here today, because we've seen a lot of mismanagement from the economic central planners. It's just by nature. You cannot do this effectively without there being major costs to pay. And so some want to increase power to these organizations such as the Federal Reserve. And so last year, President Biden issued an executive order to explore the creation of a U.S. central bank digital currency, effectively converting the dollar into a centralized digital currency. And this is different than things like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. A centralized digital currency is directly controlled and issued by the government to consumers. And it provides the government with a direct view of all consumer activities. And so this is something that is being proposed as somehow being environmentally sustainable, a way to increase access to consumers who lack the means to join a traditional bank. We've come to learn any they can get into society to exercise their agenda, they will do it. So what the central bank digital currency is all about is surveilling Americans and controlling behavior of Americans. And how do we know? Because we've seen this happen in other parts of the world. Look at no further than China to see the impacts of centralized digital currency. The People's Bank of China uses its central bank to monitor citizen behavior, allowing for the surveillance of spending habits and to cut off access to goods and services. You also see things in the where they've instituted caps on CBDC holdings and transactions. In Nigeria, central bank capped ATM withdrawals to forcibly push the use of their digital currency in lieu of physical currency. And I don't even need to think here, what are they going to want to do? These ESG factors. You go and buy gasoline. If you bought too much gasoline, they just won't allow you to use this to make a transaction. Who knows whether they would let you buy a firearm or things that they disapprove of. And so you're opening up a major can of worms, and you're handing a central bank huge amounts of power, and they will use that power. I think if we've seen anything over the last 4 or 5 years is if they can do their agenda, they will do their agenda in any way that they can. I mean, just think about some of the stuff that's happened with the whole banking situation. You know, the deposits are protected by law up to $250,000. Above that, it's not protected. Congress never changed that law, and yet somehow the administration, the Fed, the Treasury, they're removing that cap for some of these banks. And so the law is not really going to be an impediment to them if they can get the central bank digital currency. They will use that in ways that benefit their agenda. So today we're here because we recognize there's a concerted effort across America to backdoor provisions for the use of central bank digital currency through individual state uniform commercial codes, UCC. Uniform commercial codes intended to provide for standard governing laws for commercial transactions across state lines, and is set by an independent commission of, quote, experts to seek uniformity in state laws. Now, while legislation to apply recent recommended changes to the UCC has been introduced in about 20 states, no bill has been introduced in the Florida legislature, and if they were to pass a bill, I would veto that bill. However, given the risks associated with a federally sanctioned centralized bank of digital currency, today I'm here to call on the legislature to pass legislation to expressly forbid the use of CBDC as money within Florida's Uniform Commercial Code. This will ensure that Florida continues to be a state that supports innovation in the financial sector through the market, while protecting against government surveillance over your personal finances. But our legislation shouldn't stop there. Given the continued increase in Chinese influence in worldwide affairs and increase in plans to adopt CBDC worldwide, our legislation also prohibits any CBDC issued by a foreign reserve or government-sanctioned central bank. This will ensure that any effort to adopt a worldwide digital currency will never occur in the free state of Florida. And finally, I'm calling on like-minded states like Florida to adopt similar legislation into their uniform commercial codes, and to reject any changes to their uniform commercial code that would formally recognize a central bank digital currency. With Lieutenant Governor of Texas, who's the head of the Senate in Texas, I do believe Texas is going to do something similar to what Florida does. And if we can get a groundswell of states to say, no, we are not going to turn over this power to you. I mean, look, ultimately, cash is king. I mean, if you can hold it in your hand, you have power over that. The minute it's all digitized, somebody else is going to have control over that. And it's just a question of, are they going to let you live your life, or are they going to decide to do things to circumvent what you want to do? And think about what we've already seen in Canada. You remember when the truckers were protesting the vax mandates, you know, they had banks, some of the government froze some of their banks. You had charities that were trying to help these guys, and that was frozen. So we've already seen government really overstep its bounds as it is in the banking situation and financial sector that we have now. Can you imagine if we went to something like a central bank digital currency? So I'm glad that we're at the tip of the spear on this. I think it's really important that states stand up to fight back against some of the things that are going on, well, most of the things that are going on right now in Washington, because they don't have your best interests at heart. They have their own power at heart. They have their own agenda. that they're looking to advance. And so I think this will be great legislation. I look forward. We're already talking to the leaders in the legislature. I think this is something that is going to happen, and I look forward to being able to sign it into law later this year. Didn't do appropriate risk management.
Woo. So that was a lot, especially the UCC part. So yeah, hopefully you all was able to pick up on that. Forgive the technical difficulties. That's just completely outside of my control. It is raining crazy here, so it's actually disrupting my Wi-Fi. Um, but other than that, like you hear that there are definite changes coming in a lot of states. Thankfully, I live in Florida. Oh my God. Thankfully, I live in the free state of Florida because clearly we're about to have a regulatory transition that's come to, like our commercial papers. So all that fiat that people passing around is not going to be the same. The credit system, the 1099s, the W-4s, all of that's about to change. And you just got to make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on so that you could be in the best position to leverage. So one thing that's for sure going to remain the same is going to be equity and trust law. But the way that we do commerce on a day-to-day, that's about to change dramatically. So for sure, I'm about to say, if you can get to Florida, get to Florida. Like the Texas supposed to be sweet too, yo. And Texas, there like just pay attention to the way how some of the governors move. And also in my mind, I do see Ron DeSantis possibly being the next president of the United States. But that just leaves me, it kind of leaves me, like iffy because I'm like, who gonna run Florida then? But if he is running like the type of individual he is, he will still take care of Florida even after he be president. But I'm in favor of him becoming the president of the United States. Florida does very well economically, and also he just passed the constitutional carry down here. So we carry like based on the Florida Constitution and the United States Constitution. You don't need a license in order to carry a gun down here. So the way in which he's moving is for sure for the people, and you just have to think about how much he just informed us on a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about. Most people would never know that there are 20 states that's changing their use laws right now. And the fact that the governor is expressing how important the UCC is, you should understand how important the UCC is. I've been telling you how important the UCC is for almost 10 years. It regulates every single thing these people do, fam. So, for sure, man, I always trip. I never drop my tags the way I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to be bringing all this da. So let me make sure I drop that. If y'all got any questions, make sure y'all tap in. You text me on the phone number 248-325-8702. I answer. You can always DM me on my social medias. On Instagram, I am the Prince of Hemp. I am the real Prince of Hemp. It's a whole bunch of fakes out here trying to claim my title, but they can't do what I do. They don't have the ability to do what I do. They don't have growth facilities, research labs, international contracts, MOUs with prime ministers of foreign countries. So like they're just wannabes. So I'm the Prince of Hemp. God. Yo, and there's so much wild stuff going on with these processes. And fam, like if any of y'all are looking for any help, I'm not saying that you have to come to me to get it, but just be mindful. Like check people receipts, make sure that these people have good customer service, make sure that they're willing to talk to you, and make sure that they're willing to help you all the way from beginning to end, because you do not in today's society, we're in a recession. You don't want to be giving people hundreds, even thousands of dollars for processes, and they're not going to be able to help you get what it is that you need today. But what you really need to be focusing on is how you're going to solidify your financial situation, because the economy is trash right now. So making sure that you're in a position to where you can have unregulated funds, because it's going to be to a point that when they start regulating all of the currency, what does that mean for drug dealers? What does that mean for anybody doing anything untaxed? They're trackable, traceable. This is the definition of KYC, know your customer. Like this is the reason why Bitcoin has the potential to become a multi-million dollar, possibly $1 billion coin, because people will continuously transfer in that currency because it is not regulated, fam. So understand what that means. So Bitcoin possibly may be a good investment. That's not necessarily financial advice. Just, like pay attention, do your own research. But in a world where a lot of people don't want everything being tracked and they don't want to be heavily regulated, especially like in the free state of Florida, how you just heard the governor come out his own mouth and say, and even Texas is favorable of these same mindsets. You have to understand some people are not in favor of federal regulations. And then we also see the separation of how the world really works on a large stage. We see that states have power to do what they want to do in their own jurisdiction. We're in, as long as it's not disrupting the federal constitution. So we see the Fed disperse like rules and regulations down, but the state has the ability not to adhere to them. And it's even the same thing when we contract as Indians. Like our relationship with the federal government is different from a state relationship and it's different from a tribal relationship, but that doesn't limit our ability to contract on any level. So like it's a lot going on, fam. It's just more another cryptocurrency millionaire just died in his sleep outside of the Cash App guy. So and then we got Fed now dropping in literally like 2 months. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, what you gonna do? Well, my time's up. I think my son just woke up, so I'm about to go be a dad. I hope y'all have a great day. Peace and love.